Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and it is Sunday and it is really hot here in Australia, and it's Scraplift Crafternoon, and that's our weekly Sunday hot, a group of very talented ladies getting together, and we are lifting Cassandra from Crazy Craft Obsession this week, and this is how it's come together. Now, I am a mixed media mess, so this will be a challenge for me. I've collected together a whole range of different colours in the rainbow from my inks and distress oxides. I really do need to invest in some more distress oxides, and I'm going to use those to create that amazing layout that you just saw. I have collected together some ephemera from our funky teenage pack, and I'm going to put that all together on this layout, and I end up using the most of it, I believe. I think there's one piece I don't end up putting on the layout. So I have these two photos of my daughter. These were taken during COVID, and we were in lockdown, and the only thing that I could do to keep her mental health happy was take her for driving lessons each day. We were allowed 1 hour away driving as long as we didn't get out of the car, and that's what we did. So I'm going to start here with this white cardstock, and I'm going to mark in where my photos are going to sit, because I don't actually know really, probably just not waste the ink in underneath, just mark in where it is so I know how to map together my pieces for this layout. So I have my inking brush here, and I'm going to start at the top with the soft pink, and I really do need to invest in another pink. I think maybe a flamingo or something. This one is the spun sugar one, and it's very light, and I'm using my distress brush this time, not the distress pads, so that gives it a smoother effect, theoretically. I've still got a lot of learning. As I said, I'm a hot mess when it comes to mixed media. Do like it on the page, but I am not that great at it. I've got this little piece of cardstock to the side that I'm using to clean my brush. They do tell me that the colours come off from these brushes a lot easier, so let's see as we work our way down. I do like the effect the brush has. I do like that smooth blending that happens because of the brushes and the bristles on the brush, so I may need to invest in a few more of these. It is coming down the colours of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, as we know how it happens, and I'm putting in the green now, and I'm using Mowed Lawn for this one. And like I said, I'm a newbie at mixed media. I do use it occasionally. I struggle with the concept of taking a white cardstock and creating a background when there's so many beautiful papers available. You can even buy mixed media backgrounds now, but I suppose it comes down to the pleasure of creating it yourself. So I do like doing it, and I do like the effect that it has. I still struggle because I have so many beautiful papers that I like to use. So I have created here a sort of a circular pattern across this layout with all the different colours, and I do think I need to go and lighten up a bit more of that pink. That pink is really very, very pale, and so it gets lost in the rainbow scheme here, but that's okay. Put that to the top, and you can see where my photos are going to sit, and now I'm just going to spritz some water onto it. Apparently that makes a big difference to the oxides. It acts with the pigment in them and makes them bleed or bring out the brightness in them. I can see that happening down there at the bottom with the purple and the blue. I'm just going to dry them because I don't want too heavier wet cardstock. Just use my paper towel to soak up the excess water. It's got some of the dots appearing. It does have a bit of a splatter through it a little bit, but I think I'm going to just put some heavier dots of water to try and lift some more of that colour, just to give that splatter effect a little bit more of a chance to take hold with the oxides. And so I'm just putting a few more big drops of water. This should activate those oxides a little bit more and lift them when I take the moisture off the page. Now, ideally, you'd let it dry. You can give yourself time for that to happen, but because I'm working on this video for you, I don't want it to drag out too long, so I will help it along a little with my paper towel to dry it. And as you can see, well, not very clearly, but when you see the close-ups, you'll see that it has lifted spots of that colour and the white is now showing through. Down there in the blue at the bottom left-hand corner, you can really see it a lot more distinctly there. It is in the red, it is in the pink, and it is in the yellow, but it's just a little bit tricky on the screen to see it. But I do like the effect that has added to that layout. So I'm just taking the last bits of that moisture off, and then I'm going to put it to the side as I prep the next part of the layout. So this layout has a few pieces and a few parts to it. The next part is I'm using these squares here. Now, Cassandra used Vicky Bouton's Bold and Bright paper with the squares in it. I do have that paper, and I contemplated using it, and I thought, no, I will go with this one. It's got all the colours of the rainbow in it. It is a paper from a Paige Taylor Evans collection, and I do believe it is from, which one is it? This one is the... I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's one of hers. Oh, Blooming Wild. It's from her Blooming Wild collection. So I've just taken the little squares, and off screen I cut them all down so that you didn't have to see me cut each of those squares individually. And I used my distressing tool to rough up the edges to give some texture and detail to those little pieces of paper, which are building up that background that Cassandra has on hers, and I'm now constructing for mine. I do like how this is coming together. I do like the effect of all the colours and the papers sitting along the layout. It is very effective, actually. It looks quite cute and quite yeah, lots of paper, lots of interest for the eye to roam around, and it allows those pretty stark photos to really pop on that busy background, which is what we always intend to do when we use our photos and the colours of our photos. So I've gone ahead and I did take all the tape off and adhere them to the background. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding some ink splatters just to really highlight those colours across the page. And I have got all the colours right across the spectrum so that I can add it to this layout and build interest for the background. As I said, it looks like a hot mess with my mixed media. I try really hard, but this is how it's come out. So I'm happy with it because when it all comes together, it looks great. Now I'm adding in some white splatters here because that really shows the contrast in the colours. White paint is very noticeable when you put it against such bright colours, and it's really good to have big splats of the white because that's that key interest. Now I'm going to put that to the side to let it dry, which I did, and I've come back now with my photos, and I'm going to pop those up off that busy background, and that allows me to put my embellishments in underneath. That's a little trick for you if you want to layer up your embellishments on under your photos. I have fussy cut out those colour wheels from the Vicky Bouton paper, and I am putting them in the colour scheme based on where they fit in the colour wheel or on the rainbow, and I'm just tucking them in around. Now I have more than Cassandra has on hers, but that's okay because I'm making this layout mine, and that's what it's all about. Now I said that this was about my daughter, and it really was. We were in lockdown for over 12 weeks, and for a teenager who is in her final year of school, that was a hard struggle for her. She was socially isolated, really, and so each day I would take her out for an hour driving lessons which was really helpful because in the end she got a license before she finished school and all of those positives, but it was something that we had to do to keep her mental health going. So we just did that, and that's why I've decided to call this one Beating the COVID Blues, because it really was a struggle, particularly for our young people at that time, but it's something that happened, something that we need to record, and, you know, it has made people a little bit more resilient about things as well. Even though you hear all the negatives about it, there were that resilience that had to come from it. So that's a positive. And I'm just going to use these little thickers here that I have from Uniquely Creative that are going to build up this title. And as I said, I'm calling it Beating the COVID Blues, because there was lots of things that we had to do to get through that 12-week period of isolation. We live in a small country town. We had to not be allowed to go more than, I think it was a 10K radius, and we really just were really isolated. I was allowed to go out for shopping. That was about it. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm adding in a messy drawn border, and it's okay when you draw a messy drawn border on a mixed media layout because it is pretty messy, and that gives it that highlight. Now, I just want these squares to pop a little bit more, so I'm using my black fine line pen here to go around and add a border for each of them. This makes them pop, and each design to pop, and it also looks like that Vicky Bouton paper that Cassandra has used on her layout. Now that I've put all the embellishments in place, I'm just going to dot a few of these squares so it looks like they've been sewn. That's another little trick to do to add some interest to your layout. Draw the eye around the page. Not every square is the same, making it that little bit more interesting for someone to look at. I'm just going to rule some lines in here. I know people put their journaling on off camera. I don't really mind. I just put it on, showing you how quickly and easily you can add your journaling into your layout. The ruled lines make it that much easier. And it's just basically telling the story that we used to go out driving during our lockdown to keep her positive in all that we did through that time period. So here's my layout. This is how I've pulled it together. This is how I've turned Cassandra's beautiful layout into my own. Not exactly the same, but still very similar. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. If you like something on it, please give me a thumbs up. The full playlist of the very talented players in this group are down below. Go and check out what they've created using this as our scrap leaf for this Sunday. Thank you once again for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for coming back. If you're new, consider subscribing. And now, happy scrapping until next time. Here's my next recommendation for you.